Yo, we got friends today. We have
crew.
Friends on the screen today. I am sitting here with co-host Adam, of course, man. GM, how's it going, bro?
How's it going, man? I pinned up top on the Twitter space, guys. If you want to watch the videos so you can watch along. Of course, if you guys can share the Twitter spaces link as well, that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, make sure you share them. We also have one of the original Spells of Genesis artists with us. We're here with Ronaldo and then Cameron, who's been working on Monster Book with them. I've had Ronaldo on the show. Man, that was on my podcast. That had to be 5-6 months ago at this point. How long ago was that?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly when it was. Like everything was so quick. Like it's kind of difficult to understand the time how it goes lately because it's so quick.
Yeah, you might need to go put your phone over in the corner somewhere. So it's
you hear it. You still hear it.
Yeah, you can hear it, dude. That's the thing, man. Twitter doesn't let you like mute that phone.
Yeah, I heard it. That's why it's there. Normally it's okay. So yeah, nice to meet you again, Ronaldo and Rio Fugia for the artist name for Spell of Genesis. People who knows my name.
Cameron, good. What's good, bro?
I'm doing great. Nice to see you guys. Really happy to be here.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah. Dogfather in the house. How's it going?
Hey guys, everything fine? Ordinals are dead. I have plenty of time because nothing's going on. I'm just kidding. You know, don't take that too seriously. I'm not fudding. So I had a blast yesterday in a space, and I was motivated to draw a few more icons on my NFT on Bitcoin timeline. So that was fun. Maybe talking about that a bit later.
Yeah, absolutely want to bring that up. I've seen two now in this last week that I have scheduled to discuss two different Bitcoin timelines. I've also been working on one for quite a while as well.
Wait, there can be only one.
There can only be the history can only be written once.
It's going to be interesting to see which one. I mean, this is Dogfather did a really nice job, I think, laying this one out. I saw the people already tweeting at you. Well, what about this? What about that? It's like, oh boy, here we go, man. Right? It's like it's never gonna tick all the boxes. Can you walk us through a little bit of what your thought process was on either adding or not adding, or when to cut it off? I know I saw people saying, "Hey, why did you include later stuff?" What was your vision for doing that, man?
Yeah, it was very simple. I was just putting stuff I like and where I know people. Just and if you're X, I mean that's simple, man. What a question. No, I mean honestly, I was just adding some stuff I was collecting over time that I was aware of. And then after the first version, people were pointing me to new stuff I never heard about, and I learned about some new stuff, doing research and then putting it on the map. That's it, and it's definitely not complete. So everyone is very welcome to tell me what's missing, and if I think it's suitable and important and pioneering enough, so it should be somehow a first or significant to put it there. I'm super happy to add it. I mean, the more the better.
Sure.
Yeah, I have it pulled up here. So colored coins. What is this? March 27th, 2012. I've learned doing these timelines. I'm sure we all have as well. It's very tough to nail down a specific date for the start of some of these protocols. It's sure. You're going off literally just like Bitcoin Talk forum posts. Right?
If that. Right? If that. A lot of times it's just like emails. They're email back and forth and stuff. And yeah, those colored coins, because there's no real great way to even track them, and the people who have them don't know how to access them. They're on old. Yeah, it's really. I mean, we've never even really dove into the colored coins and stuff. I'm still waiting for Rhea Myers. Promised me one of her early colored coins that never hit my wallet. But it's I think at some point these things are going to kind of gain more exposure. And people will pass these things around a bit, but they're almost lost to time as of right now.
I had this thought the other day. I wonder if there will be a time where the ordinals and colored coins, or rare sats, I should say, and colored coins match, and people are able to track down some of these early colored coins.
Oh, that's interesting.
And file it down to a particular like rarity set. Like, what if you get like a like Rhea's colored coin on an uncommon set or something?
Oh yeah, that would be really cool, man. Very cool.
Probably the next wave. We're just releasing some alpha here. Dogfather, I know you got some good thoughts on this.
I mean, everyone who is digging into colored coins and looking at the wallets and getting something out of there, I think there may be some gems and some grails to find. I mean, I don't have personally the time for that, and maybe also not the technical expertise, because maybe the wallets are not working anymore. But I would definitely have a look at it. If I were more tech savvy, I would look at that. I mean, maybe there's something really cool over there. So yeah, go there, check out these old sources and GitHubs. There may be something there. And the cool thing about that, Casey Rodemer was very aware about these color coin experiments, and he even mentioning them in his GitHub, talking about not just the colored coins we know about, but about some other forum posts, but they were actually saying that one should number sets and order them, and very, very similar language that he's using nowadays.
Totally. It's one of these things. It's like if you look at this, you realize it was just bad timing, right? If colored coins happened this year, it would have popped off just like Ordinals. Really, it was just a matter of like right timing. They were at the wrong time, wrong tech. You can imagine Ordinals needed all of this stuff built around it. Everything being exponentially worse back in 2012. Much fewer people, hardly any like interest from a retail perspective, and just no infrastructure. Plus their idea, obviously the idea had to mature now to where it's like, okay, the first thing that makes sense is, NFTs, PFPs, art projects. Back then there was much more this feeling like, let's put the stock market on the blockchain, right? It was like shares of companies. A lot of that stuff was kicking around at that time, where they thought that was the best first use case, and they were wrong, so live and learn.
Fun little fact about colored coins. Vitalik was one of the co-authors of that white paper of colored coins. Isn't that crazy? That fool's around everything. You don't realize how pivotal he was to the early Bitcoin success too.
Yep.
Go ahead, Dogfather.
I mean, it was so early. It was 4 years before you could mint a CryptoPunk for less than $1. That early, So whatever you had there would just be way too early. And one other reason why Ordinals were, being that successful is having, inscriptions on it, and not just the rare sets, but putting some art form on it. And people love that. It's more visual. This is why it took off. Plus that Casey is just a very cool dude, dancing and showing how he's coding, and just a very, very enlightening and just a cool person. And then people were following him.
Oh yeah. First, before I continue, make sure everyone who's here retweet the pinned post of the spaces. Make sure more people could come in and learn about the wonderful history of Bitcoin. We're going to talk about Ordinals. We also have an awesome guest on the stage. If you guys aren't familiar, Ronaldo, who's on stage, is one of the original Spells of Genesis artists. Ronaldo, make sure you guys give him a follow if you're not familiar with him.
Can you give us like a breakdown of which cards you worked on? That'd be pretty cool. I'm not.
So yeah, mainly I worked on a series called Dragon Links that is less known than the second one. That is the boss is Agi. Like you have a series of Agi name type of monsters, and the most known is the boss. And I think it was quite high in value. Like even now it's quite rare. And but it's interesting how it was at that point, because like 2015 it was still a game, kind of like it was on the blockchain, but it was a game on the blockchain, and it started like that. And that was really quite interesting to be at that point, and then realize later what adventure what I was on, so being here to be able to talk about that is quite cool. Yeah.
How'd you get hooked up with the project back then?
Yeah, so a friend of friends, you know, like I was doing art, and the guy was doing more tech stuff, and we were like, okay, I'm doing a card game on the blockchain. And it was like, block what, you know, like okay, why not? And with other friends, illustrator, we started to talk about that. And I was already like living in Japan. I think the first time that they, like, I just came in Japan the first time Shaban came and say, oh, I would like to do a whole series. And that was the boss series. And I had,
Oh, so you actually met him in Japan. Did you meet?
yeah,
I
was in Japan.
Yeah. Okay. Very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, it was you. It was just you.
So,
It was just you and one other person during that first wave, 2015 and 2016 art.
no, I think you had more than that. But like the thing is, like, it's difficult to track. You had some few people that were like kind of the main one. I don't even know if I was in the main one, you know, like, because I don't know how much. I knew some artists like Hurricane that is now working with us as well for the Monster Book. I saw like some stuff also in the timeline, like you had Olga in the NFT timeline. Actually, we did a card called the Octolga for our series with in collaboration with him. And so yeah, I think at that point nobody really knew who were like drawing. You had friend of friend like Hurricane, like I knew two other guys that did some cards there, and but I don't know how many people were there. Like, you know, when you want to do a card game like that and you don't draw yourself, so you ask people to do it. I guess you have some main people, and then sometimes maybe you ask a guy to do a guest something. So I wouldn't know exactly. That's something you need to ask probably Shaban directly.
Hey man, yeah, you. So for those who know, Ronaldo's art was minted in 2015 and 2016. So that's what makes him the original, the original artist, the earliest days, dude. How crazy does it feel?
Crazy.
How does it feel looking back now? And before we dive into your newest adventure, how does it feel looking back now? What is it, 8 years later? That's something that was just, you know, a random, spontaneous, you know, maybe coffee shop meetup has turned into this collection that sells for hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases.
Yeah, it's crazy to yeah, it's crazy to. It's like, you know, we are in the generation where technology and everything grows so fast. It started with us just starting with computer, and now we have, like, now it's iPhone 16 or whatever. I don't know. I don't count anymore. I stopped at iPhone, you know. But like, I mean, you had this evolution in technology, first material, and now it's this technology digital. So it's like non-material stuff that came out. It's continuing with AI and all that. So I love SF, you know. I really love SF. So I love this kind of stuff, but it goes really, really quick. So you need to be a journey. So at that time, looking at back, I feel it was 20 years ago, but it's not. It's like, you know, it's like, yeah, 8 years. You say, yeah, probably something like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, now I feel part of it, like, really. But at that moment, I was like, that was a job, right? That was a job, and all the money they did, I never saw a part of it, so I don't know. But like, yeah, Monster Book is kind of like, to come back to that, but like, we can talk about that later. It's kind of like also acknowledge my position, let's say, in this environment, and being like, okay, like we look at the timeline, those people in the timeline, as you said, it was like maybe bad timing or like all that, but just because it came out, and you need to try and do stuff, and when everything start to stabilize. I don't know how to say it really. Sorry. Then at that point, you can start of like have maybe not the control, but more like an understanding of where you are going and what you are doing. And so it's interesting to be in the same time a stone in the wall, but then, okay, now I know how to maybe build my own little wall, you know. I think that's interesting to stay in, to continue being.
Well, you're not a fly on the wall anymore, because you're now going back. You're putting yourself back into the game of crypto. You're starting a project called Monster Book, which, when I had you on the podcast 5-6 months ago, it was still in that early stages. And you're doing it with Cameron, who's here on camera as well. I don't know if you're in the crowd, but tell us a little bit. Take us through getting back into the game. What is the vision of Monster Book, and also this this little crevice of I guess history in between, where you collabed with one of the original Spells Genesis artists to make that card for Fosog. Was it Fosogs?
Fosogs, and we did, yeah, it was Fosogs, and we did a collab card. So maybe I will talk about like the project and the story and all that, and Cameron maybe can talk a little bit more about the technical stuff and what we use and the collaboration we did. But like, yeah, it started with like this this understanding of our position in that, and the creator of the Satoshi card, for the people who knows, like it's probably the most, I don't want to say shit, but I think it's one of the most known card in the Spell of Genesis, and we talked about like collaboration. We wanted to do stuff together, and we started with this collab card that is a card mixing both. He did a lot of dragon series, and I did a series of dragon links, so we decided to do two dragon that are like, yeah, how can I say, like being allies, like, yeah, put strength together to create something. And the description of the card is like, from now on, like we get more, we will create our own world, you know, because when you work for someone, then you do the dream of someone else, and that's cool to learn. But now we wanted to do, yeah, you can stay on this screen. I think it's quite interesting, because so the card up is like my monster. You have like 101 monsters that have each one like rarity, and each card is kind of linked with each other, so you have a whole story as well. But also down there you have all the background of each of those elementals, and so in the story they are the like god of creation of the space, and so that came that created them, and so that's our first collaboration in terms of like the collection. And it's really started with a wish for freedom, you know, like I think in the Bitcoin, or like let's say in the crypto community, like the main wish is to be able to be independent and like out of the system that is here, and be able to be free and be able to do your own way. And so in terms of illustrator, in terms of creator, we wanted to have the similar freedom to make our own series and our own world, and be able to create our own, little baby. And so for now, like, that's my collection, but he helps on my collection, and the goal is that when he does his collection, I will also help and do some featuring there. And with this project, we started also like other collaboration. Maybe Cameron can continue with that, like some people that are known in the history of NFT and stuff like that.
Yeah, Cameron, take us through like what is the technicals of this game? When you're looking at the art, you could definitely see some similarities between Spells of Genesis and you know, and Ronaldo's artistic style.
Mm-hmm.
Even the cards, right? They kind of look like kind of this vintage kind of counterparty card kind of feel. Yeah, just take us through what is the game about outside of the lore, which I know Ronaldo can continue on forever and ever about.
you know me now.
Well, we've really put a big emphasis on bringing together innovation with the talent that Ronaldo and also in Herkheim's cards that they already had. And so my big goal in being a part of Monster Book was to connect Ronaldo and Herkheim, and then connect them to people that are really staples in the community. So for example, JP Jansen, who did the Olga card that was on Dogfather's timeline. We brought him into the project, and we did a collaboration with him, and we created an Olga Monster Book card. So if you look at JP Jansen's Twitter page, you'll see where that was shared, sort of rekindling that originality that he brought to this entire ecosystem. And he helped us automate the upload, because we have over 100 assets here. Yep. There's the Monster Book take on the Olga card. And so there's also only 10 of those. following suit with there only being 10 supply of every monster book card, which we can talk more about in a little bit. But JP Jansen helped us automate the uploading of all of these assets. Another example is we partnered with JDog, and he helped create the distribution store where you can go and buy bundles of monster book cards and get discounts and see exactly what cards you got as soon as the transaction is confirmed on blockchain. And then we've also partnered with Token Art, so you have a viewer of the card collection itself. So from the upload to distribution to being able to enjoy the collectible itself, we've partnered with really icons and founders in the counterparty community. And that was really my big objective, was to help bring together really the best that this ecosystem has to offer.
Yeah, I mean, it's smart. It's cool to see that you're partnering with JP Jansen. I haven't heard that name in quite a while. And it reflects Olga, which we know is probably never going to be sold ever. So you get to make the derivative of it. I pulled up here. It says founder role and perks and the cards rarity system. What is the game itself outside of, partnering with all these people, which is cool to bring the counterparty community together, give a reflection of all the OGs who kind of paved the way to get here. How do I actually play this stuff?
So the thing is, like, it's not yet a game to say, like, it's a collection card game to be able to create. The goal is, like, one of the goal, like, you have the collection to be able to have to collect most of the card, to have the monster book. So the game is like to collect all essence of all monsters. That's the goal. The things like the goal also with the money is to be able to create a real game that you can touch and that you can play with, and be able to create other stuff with that. That's one of the goal. I don't know if you want to continue with that, Cameron, if you have any.
Exactly. One of the emphases that we put on this was allowing it to be community driven, bringing in the best talent, bringing in the people who, the best of the best in the ecosystem itself, but then allowing the community to help us shape what the actual lore of Monster Book is. So a lot of this initial release is really just creating the world itself and packaging everything. And that in and of itself, we've been doing together for a year and a half now, and brought in the help of so many others. So there's a lot of different directions I think it could go, but that's really the essence of what we've been doing.
One thing that maybe it's interesting to understand is, like, personally, I'm a game creator. So, like, the thing to make video games was always somewhere in my mind, but I don't want it to start with that, just because, like, what is necessary to make a game that is interesting first, that have a have a meaning to be able to play it and all that. For me, it's the second step of that. Like, as Cameron said, we create the lore, you have the cards, and from that point, the people who will have the card at the moment we do the series number 2 and all that, some other project will be linked with that and have those NFT inside, but it's really as you say, like, it's in progression. So the more it goes, the better it goes, the more stuff will be improved and added and created around that. Because it's a huge project for only 2-3 people. And in the same time, it's just the start of that, of the possibility that we can have with that. The world itself as I said, have something that can grow, maybe not infinitely, but really big, and have a meaning on itself. Personally, as a game creator, I like to have a meaning. For example, I don't play idle game just to tap on my, like, I need to have something. And so in this collection for now, you have like the Grail card that is the most rare. You have only 10 on the 100, and this Grail card opened the door to the next series. But it really depends how good also this collection goes. and all that. So yeah, I really hope
so
that.
So Ronaldo, from my understanding as well, this is going to be released on Counterparty, and just take us through how is this being distributed? Do I pick these up through a dispenser? Do I got to hit you up to buy these cards? What is the plan to release? Give us a timeline as we kind of close this up.
Yep. Maybe communities.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, right now we're in an early release for founders. So if you look up on Counterparty, the asset founder card, this was an asset that we created 101 copies of, one for every unique monster in the first release. We also gifted 10 of these to Emblem Vault, as you know, in the podcast as a thank you. So we'd love to see those go in some vaults and to see some vaulted monster book cards. But we did that for basically early supporters of Monster Book, but also people who did meaningful contributions to the Counterparty and also the Bitcoin ecosystem as a whole. So we individually went out to a lot of different people, kind of wrote them thank you letters for the things that they've done, and asked if we could distribute these founder cards to them. So that group that has founder cards, they have an early access to Monster Book, and that we're in that window right now where they can get cards at a discounted rate, and it's not open to the general public. Here, I think in one day, I have to look at the timeline. It's going to be generally released to the public.
It will be released in 23, the 23, so it's Sunday, I think. Mm-hmm. So on Sunday, it will be open for everyone. 2 days from now, it will be open for everyone. And from that point, we'll see like if we do events and stuff like that. But we need now, it will be open on 23. And then
if you go to the Monster Book website too, you can see the distribution program that J-Dog put together. If you click on any one of those bundles, and you can see that was something he put together for the project, because we really wanted this to be like a storefront where you can buy the card and then buy the bundle of cards that you want and immediately see what you're actually getting. That's something that you can see in Ethereum mints, and we wanted to kind of have that accomplishable with Counterparty as well, and really people get to have that sort of thrill of the chase of hunting for cards.
Yeah,
I love chasing. I love hunting. Multiple things. Well, I appreciate you guys for coming on and sharing this sharing your project. It's been in the works for quite a long time, preserving history, also building upon it. And hopefully, once Emblem is back live, maybe we'll get a curated collection to bring it even more to the masses. That's the power. Yeah. Adam, any final questions, Adam?
No, very cool. I wish you guys luck. I know how hard it is to launch new projects. I think you're smart to bring in, some of the OGs in the space and get that kind of connection with them. Is always smart. So good luck, guys.
Thank you. Cool. And thank you for having us here. Sorry for my face. It's like I start to be tired, but like
dude, I say that all the time, man. Sorry for
you don't see that, but I'm happy. I'm really genuinely happy. And everybody on Twitter as well. Thank you for listening, and I hope you will follow us. And it's just the start. So really, I hope that people will support us and follow us, because I have plenty of stuff to give, and I think the more it grows, the more it will be interesting, because I guess we have this. He has the technicality for the NFT and stuff. I have the like, how you say, experience for the games and gaming stuff and all that. And I think this match could go well.
Takes a
and
team.
maybe
Takes a team.
It takes. For now, it takes two. But like, I would like to be more than
Yeah, well,
so,
make sure you guys follow Ronaldo. He's on stage. You can follow Monster Book there. Ronaldo's got some historical artifacts that he's created, and now he's going to continue this with Counterparty. Stay up to date. I'll do some giveaways once we're past our migration with Emblem Vault, and then we can continue to celebrate. You guys are more than welcome to stay if you want to talk about other Bitcoin stuff. I know it's late for you, Ronaldo. I know it's like 2
I will not exactly. maybe my last word would be like, because my Twitter account is not like 100% NFT focused, like maybe follow Monster Book, because I am also Monster Book in a way. So probably it's here that everything will be. My Twitter account is more, let's say, personal, even if I share some stuff sometimes, but like
sometimes we need some non-crypto content, you know. Sometimes that works out a little bit better. But
yeah,
yeah,
I know.
appreciate you guys.
Cheers.
Hope this. Yeah, cheers. Cheers.
So good night, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye-bye. Yeah, you too. You too. Speaking of Emblem, man, we are in what are we, 1 week now into migration. 1 week. It's been here. Let's keep myself over here. Been a learning process. We've learned a lot about Emblem internally, but everything is still going according to plan. And Shannon's had to go, and the team has had to go build out a bunch of test nets as we've gone in under the hood for once. I think this is the first time we've been under the hood like completely, where you can disassemble the whole thing since it started like 3 years ago.
Dude, it's so the human brain, and I know this for myself, it can't wrap itself around like something like 50,000, the number of NFTs in our collection, right? In the legacy collection. It's impossible to even that number is almost impossible for the brain to grasp. And so you have to create systems, obviously, to check each one and do all these sort of things. And that all has to be done with scripts. And I mean, all this sort of details to make sure we're sending the right vaults to the right curated collections is it's really complicated, period, full stop, you know. And you know, devs working hard on it, but it's you know, to do it right, it's not easy, not when you get to this sort of scale. It's just not.
Hey, we said, hey, take as long as you need.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, it's like I'm super glad we're doing it now, because imagine if we had another, you know, run of God knows what, the next protocol happens, and we get another 10,000 vaults or another. I mean, it's just like layers upon layers of even more complexity. So this is a perfect time for us. You know, Ordinals are dead, and long live Ordinals. And so it's nice.
It's stomping all over Ordinals right now. They're wishing the death of Ordinals.
It's so funny, right? It's I mean, it's the same thing with people calling NFTs dead. I mean, to think that Ordinals are going away is it's just foolishness. It's zero chance that that's happening. Of course, the pump and dumps, the releases of the garbage projects. You know, I mean, we sped run 2020, which was whatever 6 months in 2020. We sped run that in actually, I guess it was 6 months. I mean, I think somebody put out a tweet today that it's been 6 months since the Ordinals release. So I guess it was 6 months.
Since mainnet, yeah.
It was the same. It's the same amount of time as 2021, you know, NFT bull run. But it sure felt like we did absolutely everything in that 6 month window. It was like we did metaverses, we did shit coins, we did. I mean, it's just literally the entire spectrum. And so, but to think that Ordinals are going anywhere is foolish. It's not going anywhere.
It's just a cooling off period. And this happens every time. You know what else happens every time there's a massive correction and people's bags are down and the community starts cannibalizing itself.
It is amazing, right? It was hard. I mean, look, it's only like 3 different guys, right, who are going at each other this past weekend on Ordinal Twitter, but it is funny. It's the same, like human nature. You just see human nature acts the same given same environments. It's incredible to watch, and always a bit shocking. But to see them tearing each other down, it was like, wow.
It is insane. We talked about that when it first started. It first started with Businessman going after some of the rug projects. He did properly identify a few of them. But once you start getting into that territory, it's like the community that starts following you, they encourage your behavior to continually call people out.
Yeah.
And you're always going to call out wrong people. Like you're going to think somebody's exhibiting bad behavior, and realistically they're just like a poor operator. Like that's where that becomes like a very, very tough place to start participating in. We saw it happen, dude, right? That's why a lot of people left the historical NFT community, right? It was kind of similar behavior where once you start getting in these circles of where it's like these are hard lines that can't be crossed, and you start bad mouthing people's preference for things, right? What preference for collecting, preference for buying out mints or their art. It's a losing battle. right? And I was very surprised to see Leo come out and say, you know, like of course, Leo's a very long-winded speaker and also a writer as well.
Yeah, we haven't seen a long Leo one like that in a while, so it's good to see you again. You know, those long-winded tweets is pretty cool.
I remember the early days of the historical NFTs when Leo would get into the battles with the NFT relics people, and he would just put like a fucking essay. I was like, "There's no."
Well, that's the big difference now, because Twitter, you know, back then wasn't like that. You couldn't do this long. You had to do it in like threads, right? But in Discord, Leo would have like the big 2,000-word book, which was pretty awesome, man. Yeah, we got to start capturing all that stuff. Those are the good things.
I'm gonna go through and start screenshotting it and scribing it onto Ordinals, because you know what Leo's doing is the reason why he's not on the show is because he's really focused on Ord.io, which I give him props to do it, because to me it would be one of the more valuable kind of projects that's popped up here. But since he's sitting there watching it all day, I'm just gonna start taking his Discord messages and start inscribing it to see if he sees it. That's what I should do. So
well, you think about how difficult it is to create moats, and certainly in Web3, very difficult to create moats. But if he can create the moat around this like social layer, that's a moat that's really tough to break, right? Because if you get enough bodies, enough eyeballs on one thing, it's really, really hard to get those eyeballs on another thing. So he's smart to attack it.
He has what I call a hyperbolic positive feedback loop, which is smart. And you see this happen sometimes with creators and founders in the crypto space that have large audience. What he does, and it's smart, and a lot of people have taken advantage of this because it's free marketing. You use Ord.io, and basically, so people who don't know what Ord.io is, it's kind of, to me, it's kind of like a Reddit for Ordinals, where you just upvote these images or these new inscriptions, gets pushed to the top. So these communities push it to the top, and the only people on Ord.io is literally just the Ordinal people, right? There's no other reason to be there. And so these get pushed to the top. And then when it's in the front of Ord.io, people start tweeting about it. They're like, oh, these projects are cool. What is it? Right? People are putting messages and games and all kinds of like PFP art. And since Leo and Zach are just sitting there kind of monitoring this to promote it, then Leo, if there's something interesting at the top, he'll promote it from his Twitter account, which then it just amplifies to beyond the Ordinal community. And so then you see like this wave of interest following it. And Leo's very smart about it. He knows can't be promoting things that or have like mints, but more like interesting kind of things like Billy's, what was it, 8 megabyte or gigabyte? I don't know what it was. His recursive thing that popped up, which was pretty interesting. Yep. I saw Danny recently, of course, on Chain Monkey, inscribed on the oldest sat ever, at least to this day so far.
Yep.
So you're starting to see like some creative, some creative ways of using recursive inscriptions and trying to get your message out. I think that's the cool part of where we are now. I mean, those who are investors are probably down horrific, but we're in this now, the build mode of it, where you could kind of get past the speculation, see who the real players are, and we're starting to see some real innovations. What do you think of Dogfather?
Yeah, I think at Ord.io, I mean, this is really just 1% of what you can do there, and they are like hyper busy in building that, to a bigger social platform that the space also needs. I mean, we're all hooking up on Twitter, even though we know it's like not the most decentralized place. So, and I think we desperately need some more Web3 native forms to network, and I think that's one way to go, like Ord.io. And I'm personally cooking something that may be a nice complementary, also fully non-financial. So I'm really looking forward to releasing it. I mean, it's so hard to shut your mouth if you see the screenshots they're sending you, but I think that's the way to go, right? I mean, we need some means to avoid Twitter and the thread and alternative and all that in the long run. I mean, in the long run, that's not where we should be.
Ooh, a Dogfather project. We just heard some alpha right there.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited to see what that is. Bitcoin's fun, or building on Bitcoin's fun because it's social consensus first and then technicals come after. Whereas on Ethereum, you're deploying the smart contract first. And so it's much easier to add. You can add technical incentives because if you're deploying the smart contract, then you just tokenize everything. And that's kind of where the financial motives come from. with Bitcoin, you're leading with, you know, trying to get a community on board to surround this idea, right? If you're Bitmap, for example, you put this theory out, and we'll talk about that here in a second. You put this theory out about this metaverse, and you got to get people to get on with this idea, and then you see all the different people kind of coming in. Like Track comes in, they're like, "Oh, we'll build the indexers for it," and you have these other people who are like, "Oh, here we should I'll do DAO research, or I'll go do this, and I'll go do that." And that's, to me, has been very fascinating to watch, kind of this like migration of you know, social agreement and disagreement to build something like that.
Yeah, I mean, really, it all starts with financial incentive, though. I mean, at the end of the day, that financial incentive is so important, man. Without it, like, you just don't get traction. Like, you just don't get traction. And thankfully, Ordinals had it, at least in the beginning, where, you know, now it seems like we have enough momentum that it'll keep going, right? Which is great. You know, you think about it and you say, wow, it would have been amazing if Counterparty was able to get this kind of momentum, you know, back in 2017. But, you know, so much is timing and all the rest of it. And of course, there's going to be FUD, and everybody, you know, it's this is stupid from the beginning and stuff. But we all know that's wrong. It's just a matter of, you know, what happens. And then, I mean, I keep in the back of my mind, well, what's going to be the thing that is the next NFTs in 21, right? Is it going to be NFTs again? My gut says probably not. You know, but what's going to be that thing? Is it a game? Is it is it a currency? What is it that kind of pushes that grabs the attention of a larger swath of people in the world, and then the tech's ready for it, right? Yeah. And who knows? I mean, that might be 2 years away. Let's be serious, right? I mean, like, the odds of somebody coming up with that today is probably unlikely. It could happen, but right now it's just retreads of existing ideas, right? We're kind of playing around and remixing old ideas, which is how we come up with new ideas. So who knows? Maybe something will pop tomorrow, but it may be years. You know, this stuff can take time.
Are you familiar with who GCR is, by chance?
No, I don't think so.
So GCR he's this Twitter account, and there's these like very popular kind of old school like crypto OGs who are just like always right. They tweet like, you know, once a month, and somehow they're just like always right about everything. He was the guy who predicted the Terra Luna downfall. I actually think he's the one who like broke the peg, and he's just like generally always pretty on the nail. He had something pretty much along what you said, is that he said every bull run amplifies something from the previous bull run that was overlooked.
Totally.
Right? So like, because NFTs came like the first, I guess we'll say the NFT era. Of course, it exists on Counterparty, but really 2017 is kind of like NFTs breakout year, and then it became mainstream in 2021. Right? It's the same thing with like ICOs. ICOs in 2017, they started in 2012 or 2013 on Mastercoin. So it's thinking, what is that trend? Is it for this next one? Is it meme coins, or is it like like tokenized memes, kind of like what 6529's
well,
thing?
Imagine this. I mean, I shit on it because I don't think it's ready for it. But look, if you think about the 2021, what was kind of big but actually just shit the bed was metaverse. Mm-hmm. Metaverse completely shit the bed. Although the idea is, you know, look, we're in the metaverse right now, right? It's just what we were envisioning in 21, which is like this either immersive or AR metaverses. Like, it's still not ready, right? You think about the next bull run, it could definitely be triggered by something like that. You know what I'm saying? Who knows though? You know, but hey, maybe Roblox says, hey, you know, guess what? We're all NFTs now, and like, holy crap, you know what I mean? Yeah, who knows?
Roblox is gonna say, "Hey, we're building in Bitmap," and then we're just
whatever.
Ethor, what's on your mind?
Yeah, what's going on, peeps?
What's good?
Building off what and Adam, by the way, you feeling okay, man? You sound a little hoarse.
Oh, bro, I've been sick all week, man. Yeah, this is like this is me feeling good, man. Yeah, I'm all right though.
Bummer, but glad to hear you're getting over it. Yeah,
that's good.
I wanted to build off what Adam was saying though, which is it's absolutely, it's got to be gaming, it's got to be interactivity. I feel like we're still in this nascent stage of being able to have fun and interact, whether it's a true game or just the ability to do more than just kind of click and get something, right? So utilizing the ability to have something that's permanent, but at the same time, you know, whether that's your high scores and all this other stuff, we haven't got there, and it takes a long time to build that crap. And I feel like now more than ever, it finally feels like 2019 all over again. I've been waiting for this. It's that moment where, you know, I stopped caring about price and looking, and it seems like everyone's fallen off and the interest is gone and everyone's calling it dead. And it's going to be like this. If it's anything like 2019 all over again, it's going to be like this for a while. Yeah. And a year and a half, people will start caring again, and the stuff that nobody wanted and nobody cared about, they'll start wanting and caring about again. And yeah, I think you're right, Jake. There's something that's going to push the way, and it's going to push everything up. And it's probably not going to, it's going to be something new, but I think it will help, you know, historic NFTs and old projects and old shit coins and meme coins. And it's just a snowball effect, right? I think that's what we'll see.
So we just got to bust out our historical NFT timelines and be like, okay, what sector has yet to blow up yet? Which one is it? I remember during the NFT bull run, I said the next meta in 2024 was going to be social tokens, but it seems like that whole sector is kind of just imploded on itself. Rally went down, Roll went down. I don't even know what's going on in that sector anymore. But to me, that seems like an inevitability. Where
that could be one too. You know, that could be one as well. Right.
Like creator influencer tokens. Dude,
it just makes sense. I mean, it makes perfect logical sense. Why can't we have a decentralized YouTube, right? Mm-hmm. Where creators just receive these tokens based on ad revenue, blah, blah, blah. Perfect. Now just somebody has to build it so it works, you know? But yeah, these ideas are... Go ahead.
Have you heard of Theta?
I'm familiar with Theta. Yeah, it's actually created by one of the YouTube co-founders.
So yeah, they were doing that. It just didn't catch on. Who's to say that it won't, or some new version of it does in the future when more people care? But they were doing some cool stuff, and I was watching some, instead of YouTube, I was watching some people, they were doing dual streams, and it was cool because yeah, I was getting tokens, which obviously wasn't much money, but was something, and they were getting money through it. So it was a cool idea.
Speaking of historical NFTs, Theta partnered with Resort World, which is one of the casinos out here in Vegas, during the bull run. And they were doing, I bought like a bunch of Resort World Theta, like commemorative initial launch NFTs. They were doing like Katy Perry NFTs. And like the whole idea was like they were gonna like tokenize the entire casino with all this like gamification, and it imploded. I don't think there's a partnership there anymore.
It's all gone.
NFTs. I still got those NFTs on Theta. So yeah, that was an interesting part to it. Ethor, do you want to spin up a Hoarder's Corner?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go.
I'm a little bummed that our guests weren't able to stay. I was gonna try to coax them to stay, but once I heard how late it was, I was like, all right, I'll keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, he's out there in Japan. That fool stayed up late. Man. Yeah.
Yeah, that time zone is bonkers compared to the US time zones. But okay, so this week it's gonna be fun. It's a little different. Welcome Hoarder's Corner, a weekly segment that explores the world of physical collecting. This week we're gonna be doing celebrity hair.
Okay.
So, what? Yeah. Let's get into the origins and history. My favorite part, where I talk about 10 minutes about shit that probably half the people zone out on. But this is fucking hair. What more is there to say? We're talking about hair. I'm not going to go into the origins and history of hair.
No, this is a little bit creepy. I gotta say, man, this is a creepy Hoarder's Corner, man.
It's a yeah, maybe I should have saved this for late October. I got this idea from, there's that Netflix show that Jake recommended. I can't remember what it's called, but it was about collecting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Golden, I think it's called, something like that.
Yeah, it's a good series. It's a good series on Netflix. I highly recommend people to watch it.
It's a good series. Yep.
And yeah, anyone that wants something to mindlessly watch, check it out. I think it's called Golden Auctions or something similar to that. But yeah, it's a lot of sports memorabilia and all the collectible stuff they talk about on the show I'm well aware of, except for hair. I didn't realize that there was a market for hair, and that kind of turned me on. So this has been in the back of my mind to do this at some point, and it's happening today.
Wow.
So value. what drives value for the hair. It's all about where the hair was gathered from the celebrity, how old they were when they plucked the hair. Is the hair from the top of the head? Is it from the crown? That's
wow, that actually makes a difference.
The leg and arm hair is also highly desired.
Leg and arm hair.
Ball,
Oh, God, dude.
I'm totally messing with everyone. Of course, none of that matters. Yeah, we're just gonna go straight to top sales here, but we're gonna do it radio style, right, or game show style, and that's why, you know, if anyone wants to hop on and get going on guesses, I'll talk for another 20 seconds.
My first guess was like
Jackson. It was my first one.
Michael Jackson. That's a good one. I would go older though. I would go like Abe Lincoln, and then I'd go like Marilyn Monroe, something like that.
Okay, well, let's do it. These are all amazing guesses. I have, and by the way, let me also preface by saying I could not find a consistent answer. Like I found 5 different documents that try to list these, and I noticed the prices were a little different and they put people above others. So I just decided I'm going off of this one from justcollecting.com. I think that it's nice. It's got the top 40 in there. I also converted it all to ETH because Jake loves that.
Mm-hmm.
And with those guesses, at first I heard Michael Jackson. That is a fantastic guess. That is number 3.
Ooh, nice.
$100,000 for Michael Jackson's hair, which is 52.91 ETH. And I also have fun facts for the top 10 because I thought, why? So, fun fact: Michael Jackson's album Thriller is the best-selling album of all time. I also heard Abraham Lincoln. Who guessed that?
Yep.
All right. Abe barely makes the list at 10. Yeah. Well, he makes the top. I have 40, but top 10 are really what we're looking for here. And Abe sold for $38,000, which is 20 ETH. Fun fact: Abraham Lincoln was an accomplished wrestler and only lost 1 out of approximately 300 matches.
Wow. All right, since we're in the creepy business here, actually now I'd go to like Hitler. Because
Hitler is not on this list.
Oh wow.
Right. I heard another guess earlier though that I
Marilyn Monroe. That was the
Marilyn Monroe. Yeah. So that she is on the list, but she's actually pretty far down at 23. Her hair sold for $9,200, so 4.87 ETH. But what I want to point out here, which the article also points out, is so that she's on the list at 23. 22 is Napoleon's favorite horse, Marengo, $588. So apparently there is more of a collector market for Napoleon's horse than Marilyn Monroe's hair, which I think is absurd.
I would say number 1 would probably have to be like something from royalty, like one of the kings or queens of England, or maybe one of the dictators like Napoleon or Genghis Khan or something like that.
You're on it. It is a dictator of sorts. I don't know if he's a dictator. He's going to be very hard to guess on his own, so I'm going to give you a hint. He's like a South American revolutionary icon.
Che?
Yeah, it's Che, which surprised me, to be honest. So Che is the record holder, 120,000, just a shade under $120,000, 63 ETH. But yeah,
did have a great head of hair. That's for sure.
Any other guesses? Do we have anyone that wants to jump on stage and guess?
That's interesting, Che, man. It's really, that's a real niche market right there.
Maybe the Spanish culture values hair to a higher degree than America does for some reason. Right?
There's 2 in the top. There's 2 in the top 10 I'm not even really familiar with, so I'm going to just say those. So at number 5 is Lord Nelson at $70,000. Is anyone familiar with Lord Nelson?
Isn't he like? I do know the name, yeah, for sure.
British naval hero.
Yeah.
Known for his strategic brilliance and his famous last words, "Thank God I have done my duty." And then the other one I hadn't really heard of is General Jeb Stuart at $44,812. Very weird that someone would, I guess with auctions, right? But someone's like, I don't want to spend $44,800. I will spend $44,812.
Dude, this seems like this is like the most niche thing ever, right? It's like you ran into some money and like, hey, Che's hair's for sale, and you're like, holy cow, I gotta get that. You know what I mean? It's like one of those random like you're drunk on the weekend type of waste of money.
And so Jeb Stewart, if anyone was curious, was a Civil War commander.
Sounds like it.
All
right. Well, if there's no more guesses, I'll quickly run through the top 10. So Che's 1, Elvis is 2. That's not too surprising.
Yeah.
Which the fun fact is actually interesting. It says Elvis Presley's iconic black hair was not naturally black. He was a natural blonde. So you got dyed hair.
Wow. That's surprising. I would have thought there would have been a lot of Elvis hair out there. I'm surprised. Like it went from, I would have thought people have been chopping off his hair all around. There'd be tons of it around. That's what I would have thought.
Yeah. I'm sure some have probably sold for less too. And who knows the details of like how it's kept and if it's like signed or a lot of these were taken.
No, this is definitely like the certificate of authenticity realm, right?
You must, right? Otherwise, someone's just going to chop off some random hair and try to sell that as Michael Jackson's, right?
Totally.
Number 4, so Jackson's 3, 4 is Edgar Allan Poe. That makes sense, right? Creepy. Lord Nelson's 5. Mozart is 6. John Lennon is 7. Jeb Stewart's 8. Justin Bieber, believe it or not, is 9. That's $44,000 someone paid for this.
That's a terrible investment, dude. Dude's still alive, man. That's like endless supply, man. You're gonna get rugged.
Do you know how much more hair he's gonna produce,
dude?
And then ending the list at 10 is Abraham Lincoln.
There you go.
There we go. Boom. Hair. Thank you.
I only buy dead people's hair, bro. I'm never buying. It's a terrible investment to buy living people's hair, man. You're gonna get rugged with that.
It's like buying a domain.
Hey, same thing with artists, right? Once they die.
No, it's a big deal, dude. It's a big deal.
It's like buying a domain. Well, thank you for the Hoarders Corner. I also wanted to tease out that Adam and I are going to be starting another show here pretty shortly, probably in about 2 weeks. So next week we'll tease out the name of the show. We think it's going to be a pretty pivotal show for the community. So we're still gathering some guests, right? Well, you guys are always more than welcome to attend, and we'll talk off camera about it. But yeah, we're going to be extending the show as Emblem grows. So the goal is, we're going to have 35 curated collections, about plus or minus a few by the end of the migration. And so we're going to need to have some curation for it, I guess, is kind of the hint there. So that'll be exciting. We believe that the show will still stay. The Friday show, we believe we'll keep it. Maybe we might have to tweak the time around a little bit, but yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a little bit more directed. So stay on the lookout for that. We'll reveal some more information next week about that. Moving on here, man. It felt like this week we talked about this. I think we talked about this last week as well. We went over the Uniswap or Unisat swap tool that they had announced, because it was like, I think it was on Sunday, so I don't even know if we talked about this actually.
Yeah, I think we talked about these cases.
Yeah. So on Sunday, last Sunday, Unisat announced that they're creating a BRC20 swap tool that's going to have some sort of AMM mechanics. And we were like, oh, this is cool. Like, we always felt like this was kind of the next idea. I had been working on the same idea with the Omnisat team going on about 3 months now. And as we went to build this, we realized, man, this is a lot more dense than I expected of building a BRC20 kind of swap tool. You have to build, first you have to build the actual swap mechanic, which we'll talk about. Then you got to build the AMM system. And then you realize that you got to index all of these indexers to make sure all the information's right, which it never is. There's always some minor fraction to it. And then you have to build the liquidity and the chicken and the egg problem. And there's like so many different rabbit holes, where over the last 3 months, it sounded like Unisat also came to the very similar conclusion and idea. They said that they began building their prototypes they said months ago. So probably around the same time that we had met at that Vegas house for Omnisat, which was about 6 weeks into BRC20's creation. And so then on Monday, there was 2 teams that posted that they had successfully tested a BRC20, or I guess we'll say Ordinal peer-to-peer swap tool. There was one team, I forget what the actual team is called. And then 12 hours later, Bunzi and the Pineapple team, which is part of the Omnisat team, we've posted this swap tool, and I'm gonna pull it up here. This video, which is hilarious, by the way.
Today.
But here, I'll put this up there so people are watching. So basically, this peer-to-peer swap tool that came out, and you can take an ordinal to ordinal trade, BRC20 to ordinal, or BRC20 to BRC20, and you can use Bitcoin as well as a part of incentive. And we've seen this tool. It's not anything new. I mean, I think it's called NFT Trader, or somebody who'd done this. I mean, we've talked about creating this multiple times. From Emblem side, it's basically like an OTC tool. It eliminates any type of OTC trading, or it makes it very safe. There's definitely a lot of complications I've learned on the back end. The cool thing of this tool that I have here on the screen, of the Pineapple Workshop one, is that you split the miner fees, actually, which is kind of cool. So let's say I want to trade my Bitcoin Ape for Adam's Bitcoin Punk. I can create that proposal and then send it to Adam's wallet, and it's one piece of the partially signed Bitcoin transaction. And then if Adam accepts it on his side, at least in the interface, it'll show that there is an offer, and then he can accept it. And then the gas fee, which is the miner fee, is split between two parties. I thought that was kind of like a subtle, kind of cool piece to it.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on peer-to-peer trades? This is big.
I don't know if it's big, right? Obviously, OpenSea also rolled this out this week, which is I mean, what are the odds, right? I mean, it's like,
literally different blockchains, same product. Like, everyone is conforming around the same idea.
It's incredible to think how the universe works, man. It is never-endingly amazing. My initial feeling. Oh, you got the nice. I gotta say they did make nice. My initial gut is because I've done a lot of like what we would call bartering in the real world. In my previous lifetimes, I've done a lot of bartering, and there's a reason money exists, is because bartering can get really hard and complicated. So that's my initial take on this, which is basically like bartering. But at the same time, and I shared this with Bunzi, it's actually an incredible opportunity for marketing for these companies and for individuals. Because anytime you put in an offer of a swap, you have something to talk about on social media. And we already saw that a couple times with Thread Guy this past week, where people were like, hey, I want to swap this with you with that. It becomes this really fun talking point. And so I think from just a social standpoint, it's really interesting. Whether or not do I believe like this is going to be a large section of the trading that takes place with any NFTs? No, because I think it just gets really complicated to do these sort of things, because what I want and what you want are usually very different things. And classic example is, I have apples and you have a car. Well, do you want a car's worth of apples? No. And actually, I'm friendly with a guy who's actually building one of these distributed AI technologies, where if I do have apples and you have a car, the AI builds out these giant swap mechanisms, and he's building that for blockchain tech. And I think that is actually really, really interesting going forward. But I think, for this right now, I think from a social standpoint, it's really fun. And guys should I also said this to Bunzi. I was like, bro, you need to make this one click easy. So when I propose a trade, I can push one button and create this tweet and tag the person, create a tweet about what I want to swap with, right? Because it has this like social nature to it. So it'll be interesting to see how it works out.
I think this is huge for the rare or the high value assets, because generally, if you're holding, a top 1% of a collection or like a high value art piece, the only way you could offload that is if somebody comes in with a high bid, and that just doesn't happen because a lot of people don't really have that liquidity. But you see this happen a lot with like Bored Apes, where somebody will have a very rare ape and they'll trade down and they'll trade their gold ape for like 10 floors. And that person then will sell a few of them to get liquidity, but then they still have exposure to the ecosystem. And so I think that kind of trading, I think, is pretty key, because we could kind of find the true value of these high value or perceived high value ordinals, right? Like these ordinal punks that are sub 100 that sell for their floor, right? The floor is sometimes like 10 Bitcoin, but the recent sale is, 2 Bitcoin, which is still a lot of money. But it gives opportunity for people to come in and offer these trades and to really find some sort of value for it. Of course, there's a lot of other things you could do with this, which we've discussed with them to see how far you could really push it. But I do think it is like this, at least for the ordinals, this peer-to-peer, on-chain peer-to-peer swap. I don't think it's ever been done on Bitcoin before. They told me it took them about 3 weeks to build it, dedicated to just this tool. That's also on top of 3 months of research.
Right.
As well, right. So it was not easy to do.
I mean, honestly, it's amazing they were able to spin that up that quickly, right? I mean, it's just amazing. How long do you think OpenSea's been working? OpenSea's probably been working on this for a year and a half. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, it's amazing, man.
Yeah, I told them, I said, there's 2 or 3 like easy UI UX kind of things to add. It's like, okay, to make it easy, do you add like a .sats resolver to then you type in somebody's .sats and then like all their assets come up? But it's like, it's so early that you don't really know who owns what, .sats or .xbt or whatever it is, or you don't know people's wallet address. It's not like ETH where somebody's been has their .eth in their Twitter handle for years at this point. So the other way I think is to just put every single asset, every single ordinal up 0 through what are we at 17 million, and then let people just click on it and then throw bids out. I was like, what would be a great dopamine hit every time I open up Nakamoto Trade and there's just like offers sitting there.
Yeah.
Right. like what am I going to walk into right now? It's like a Pandora's box. I told them that's kind of what you need to do. Either that or just go get it integrated into a bunch of other platforms, I guess is like the key piece. But I know for them, this is just like one piece of OmniSat. And so they want to kind of just like build it out and then continue on with the rest of the mission is kind of like what it is. But it was cool. It was a good, I gave Bunzi and Pineapple Workshop and Matt, who's the founder, I've grown close to them over a while. And, they finally get to put their name out into the Ordinal ecosystem. One more dev team in the space. There's not that many.
Yeah.
Not that many out here. It's just a handful of people building on top of each other.
But you think about like how quickly so much incredible stuff's been built on Ordinals. It's just it's just mind-boggling, man. Very rarely, I mean, even at the birth of Ethereum, like it took years to build this sort of stuff. And I guess obviously there's so many things that aligned right for Ordinals, but again, it's amazing that some people are still calling it dead, considering all this cool stuff that's been built. Because even if the trading and stuff dies down for a year or two, it doesn't even matter because the infrastructure's been built now.
That it is. And one project that the infrastructure is getting built out, which we're coming back to, is this Bitmap. Dude, I just find this so fascinating. I don't know why I keep looking at it. I do own some Bitmap. To me, it's the social coordination that's going on to it, where it's theories stacked on theories. To me, it's just like kind of like a philosophical debate room of trying to push your idea out furthest ahead to get builders to build on top of it. So we saw Bitmap theory, right? So those that don't know what Bitmap theory is, it's basically assigning every block with basically a metaverse plot. And so that's the idea, right? Theory. Ordinal theory is a theory as well, right? Of how to number Satoshis. And so they put the idea out there, this guy Blockamoto, and it sounds cool. Every Bitcoin block is a metaverse plot.
Right, you can claim
once you start thinking into it, right, you're like, okay, well, there's a new Bitcoin block every 10 minutes. And we're starting to see now people hoard over the blocks every 10 minutes to try to like buy these ones. Yep. And the blocks are dispersed, or the plots within the blocks are partitioned, as you can see in this video that I've pulled up, based off of the transaction blocks. So some of the earliest blocks have literally just like, one giant block. So theoretically, your entire block of the early ones is the entire parcel, right? And then so once you get closer here, you see there's so many more transactions within one block, so you have smaller plots within it. So you could kind of see some game theory surrounding that idea. And then it goes even higher, where once you look at it in a 3D aspect, some of the blocks are higher than others depending on the gigabytes that were within it. So it's basically creating this 3D model that exists already, which is, that's intriguing. But then it's like, all right, so who's going to go out and build this now?
And how many are there? I mean, we got into this, I think it was last night.
800,000 so far.
Yeah, so it's 800,000. Plus, it goes forever, right? You get a new one every however many minutes.
Every 10 minutes until was it 2140 or something like that?
Yeah. And so no, I mean, you're still going to get you're going to get new blocks forever, right?
I guess that's true. Yeah.
It doesn't even matter. The thing when I was on the space trying to, I'm trying to rein people in a little bit. It's just when you get to this sort of number, which is in the hundreds of thousands, which will push 1 million, you just start, from a collectability standpoint, it's zero, right? You have to get, these are basically free. It's just, then it's a question of, okay, what's going to happen with these? And can anything interesting happen with these? Certainly from like a metaverse, VR metaverse thing. I mean, we saw where that went in 2021, right? Now, not to say like, look, this may be this sitting here and they're all free now and you can get them and they're basically free. And, 2025 rolls around and this becomes like a standard that gets integrated into something interesting. Who knows, right?
Yeah, you're going to be building on this for a while.
You're going to be building, right?
It's interesting because I've already seen now multiple conflictions within the community, and this is what fascinates me because of the social coordination. There was a group which immediately just got lambasted, and people are like, "This is a horrible idea." Some people are like, "Hey, let's create a Bitmap DAO," which in theory makes sense, right? Like we're all going to vote on kind of what is determining this. Social coordination, what's the right theories and implementations. Most people are like, that is a horrible idea. This is Bitcoin. It's decentralized, like, right? But I understand the motive behind it. And then now you have like different factions too of people believing like, no, these are the right ways to build it. The interesting component is, so you have Track, which is Rarity Garden's thing. Their whole token, and that BRC20 is actually the leading BRC20 right now outside of Ordi. It's up like 6,000% in like a month or something. It's insane. I sold way too early. Fuck my life. They're building the indexer for this. They're working with Blockimoto, but now you get this degree of centralization where Blockimoto is kind of telling this indexer of what to build. And since it's just a theory, some people it's now, do you take Blockimoto's word of following his idea, or do you like spin up your own indexer and then just build your own plots? And that was kind of an idea I introduced. I said, hey, what you should have is, if you're gonna have Track build this centralized indexer for the rules, and you do need rules for this, right? So that's really the only thing you can do right now, is really start it very centralized. In the future, you should have just kind of like the standard indexer, that these are the rules for these plots, but you can spin up your own indexer and create your own rules for your own plots within this like big map. So you can have some people create 2D lands, some people create 3D lands, but we know if you give users options, they ask for the options, and then when you give them the options, they don't use it.
Bro, how many people are building anything right now? Dude,
actually a decent amount of activity on there, although it's probably about 20 people total.
I mean, I'd be surprised if it's 20. I think earlier today, somebody put out, hey, anybody have any monthly active users on Sandbox? And I wrote back, I think it's like 15. Because I mean, it's like, have you been in Sandbox recently? Like, go in there, bro. It is a ghost town. There is nobody in there. And you just see it. I mean, I was reminded of like Lineage, right? Those guys, Derp and Mason put in like work. They built, like, you can build decentralized web pages. using your lineage domain name. Like, and they live on Ethereum. They're like literally, you build web pages and they are fully on chain web pages. You know how many people they got to build one? 0.
Really?
Like 0 people. Like there are like 6 living, you know, Dirt built 4, Mason built 2, you know, it's like, people are just, we're too lazy, you know, we're lazy. We don't want to do it. You know, we want it spoon fed to us, you know, and so I don't know. I'm not footing it too hard, but it's like, man, if you're asking users to build this metaverse, whoo.
I mean, we saw what happened with loot, right? It's
Is
like,
there any way I can short this? That's my question.
The different dynamic here, though, is that this is kind of how Ordinals operates. It's operating in a different kind of dynamic because it's all social coordination, right? So you had ordinal theory. You needed a consensus of people to start building on this. BRC20, same thing, right? Indexer for these different type of assets. People are building on it, right? Is it right? Same thing with Bitmap. Of course, with the difference here, though, is with BRC20, you have it's already reached about 200 million in market cap. So with that financial incentive, 200 million is not a small amount. So people will build this. Here you have, I guess you just have to get the price to go up on the floor of these maps.
Bro,
like,
how do you get priced? How do you get priced? Because they're free to claim, right?
They're up to $15 now. So I mean, they're up from $2 to $15 is the floor.
Bro, sell all. You almost got a 10x coming in, bro. Sell all.
Here's what I should have just inscribed more. There was some guy who inscribed 20,000 of them.
Oh my god. Well, I mean, you think what it cost? Did it cost like $1 to inscribe? $2. I mean, look, those are the real winners, right? Are the inscription services. But you think about it, just think of Mooncats, man. 25,000. That floor cannot maintain that floor. And they're Mooncats, dude. Right?
They've been at 0.2 for forever.
Yeah, it just because every time it bumps up a little bit, people dump, right? I mean, how hard is it going to keep? You know, that dude who, how many did he inscribe? 200,000, 20,000?
20,000 of 800,000.
Bro, you're telling me every time that ticks up, you know, 50%, 100%, he's not dumping into that?
He's been dumping at, from what I read, he's been dumping 1,000 a day.
You know, how's that floor ever really supposed to move, man? I mean, it's just, I just don't think there are enough people in the space to maintain that type of volume.
Hey guys, real quick while we're talking about Mooncats too, I saw there was 2 more Genesis sales.
That's incredible.
3. There's been 3 in the last week. So 15, 16, and like 15.25. Floor now is back up to 25. To me, it's crazy that a Genesis Mooncat still holds 100x floor. And so whenever that, you know, whenever that floor gets back over 1 of ETH, right, you're going to say that just basic math at the Genesis floor is going to be around 100 ETH. It's I had talked about this in the very beginning when I was with Mooncats. I said the floor to rare Mooncats floor is just going to absolutely trounce anything that punks can do. Whenever that floor does get back over 1 ETH, it's going to be insane to see. But it feels like now there's been, I would say, I think I did this math a few months ago. More than half of Genesis Mooncats has traded hands during this bear market.
Wow. And was it you who tweeted out that the cat number 1 or 0, you know, the first cat is like for sale for 99 ETH? Is that right?
They bumped it down. Yeah, it looks like they're trying to dump their bags. Pondware also sold number 1 to a VidPet who's been in Mooncat since I joined as well. He's like an early guy. He's got a nice collection. He bought Mooncat number 1 for 8 ETH off of Pondware. And so Pondware originally had number 0 listed at 1337. And now they just popped it down to 99. I think that's an incredible buy if you've got 100 ETH sitting around.
I might try to get it for like 35.
if you could get it, man. The top sale for non-Genesis sales is Mooncat number 9, sold for 48 ETH. I had purchased number 10, which I've sold since for 32 ETH. And I bought Mr. Moo for 28 ETH, which is number 6. And those are for non-Genesis ones. But everyone, it's pretty socially consensus agreed upon that Mooncat number 0 is the rarest one.
Sure.
It's the first one. Right.
It's too bad Zero wasn't a Genesis. That would have been cool.
Well, the thing is, and not to FUD Genesis, Genesis aren't generative moongats because they're all predetermined, right? They were set on a bonding curve. That was kind of my thing of why.
Aren't they all 20? Are they all 2021s or are they?
No, all the Genesis ones are all 2017s.
They are. Okay.
The ones that didn't get released would have been the 2021 ones. But yeah, because the Genesis, they were put out in I think plots of 12, and they were predetermined where as X amount of moongats are mined, then this Genesis batch is tacked on at the end. Okay. Yeah. And they just never got released because of that whole botting thing. But yeah, 3 sales in the last week of Genesis, right? Back to 25 ETH. I think that's still an incredible buy. You'll definitely see some just like hyper scarcity plays at that, maybe next bull run or something like that. But moongats are here to stay for sure. Yeah, pump my bags.
please, please.
Please pump my bags. Well,
it's interesting. To sell, at the bottom of the bear or in the bear. I don't know if we're at the bottom yet, but yeah, it's funny. It's interesting how people work. Surprising, right? Always, I'm continually surprised the way people behave. But hey, it might be smart to sell now. I don't know. Maybe NFTs go to 0. It's possible. So who knows?
I'm gonna sell my Genesis and buy 4 mutant apes.
We don't know what's going on with these people's lives. Maybe it's medical.
Oh no, absolutely. I don't. Yeah.
Sell the bottom to buy something else at the bottom that they think will have a better return. As far as Ponderware goes, I mean, I don't know this for sure, but we know that they have their new project out and Lawless, and I wouldn't be surprised. They probably sold Mooncat 1 because they needed some funds to keep going for that. And 0, they brought it down to 99, which I think would eventually sell if they hold it there, right? And who knows what kind of stuff they need to do to keep the company going.
Yeah, who knows, man. I'm not. By saying this sort of stuff, I don't mean to say like they're wrong or stupid or anything, because reality is none of us know where the market moves. It could be the smartest move ever to sell right now. Who knows?
Maybe I should use OpenSea's tool and I'll send them just like all my.
Bro, that was actually, I was literally just thinking that. You're like, oh no, you package this and that and throw in a little ETH. Who knows, man? You might get it.
You want all my bags that are down 0? Here, take it all. All right. I'll give you 42 4 moongats and a Genesis mooncat.
You think they'll take Yetis in exchange?
Yeah. See, that's where it gets interesting. Well, also the tool is just another way to bypass royalties. It's just like another convincing thing that royalties are going to 0 inevitably. There's no way. It's so hard to enforce it.
Yep.
Unless you just domicile it. I know you have the filter block thing, but at least participating on OpenSea, it's an easy way. Because you can use WETH too. So you could just say, hey, I'll just bid in WETH, right? You could just do the same exact thing there.
Yep.
And bypass royalties. Although I haven't used the tool yet, so we'll see. But I think that's it, man. I don't know. Do you got anything else that you want to cover before we roll out of here this Friday?
No, man. Let's get it. Next week, it's going to be big. I'm hoping we get our first migration done early next week, and that'll be big stuff.
Yeah, we got some big things that we want to work on. Big. Yeah, the conversation we had, team meeting we had, was that yesterday? I can't even remember.
I don't even know, man. It's blurry.
I think it was yesterday. Just the roadmap of we're like, hey, we have some downtime right now. Well, dev team doesn't, but we do. To think strategy. And a lot of big things, Ed. A lot of big things. As Shannon would say, Emblem is now a first-class citizen. Right? That's the quote that Shannon uses. So props to you, bro. Dogfather, any final words?
Oh no, Dogfather's gone down. He's
gone. All right, Ethor, take us home. Final words.
Shit, man. I already talked about moongats now. Have a nice weekend, everyone.
Yeah.
Make sure to keep that hair on your head. Wait, Adam, nice shirt, by the way. That's what I wanted to say.
Oh yeah, got my ninja suit on today, man.
Yeah, Saratubi curated collection, man. That'll be
can't wait for that. It's gonna be awesome.
That'll be a big one. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.